How much can you learn in a regular week of just business, just normal life, nothing too flash? I reckon you can learn a lot. My system is basically, I have this page on Notion called Thoughts. Any thoughts? Not any thoughts I have, but any thoughts that I think that are relevant or that will, go back to serve me well in the future, I jot down. Or if they might serve other people well, I jot them down. And that's you. So for this video, I'm going to read through some thoughts that I had over the past couple of weeks. Really quick hitters. And I just think it's interesting how much you can learn in a week and how many thoughts of business and in life and in growth, development, all that stuff you have in 1 week. So it's probably a couple of weeks, but for the sake of a good story, it's 1 week. Oh, but first, here's a thought. Here's my very first thought of the week that I had, not today, in this glorious weather. And it actually relates to weather. So well played. Segment. It's so cold. How good is just getting shit done in the morning feel? I swear it's the most enjoyable thing, knowing you've got stuff done early. What time is it? It's 8:55. And I feel like I've already ticked off a lot of boxes, which is just a nice feeling. This is why I'm so big on being a morning person, by the way. It just feels good. I know some people have a love-hate relationship, so saying if you're a morning person, but there's something nice about it. So I put myself first to begin this lovely day. Okay, went to the gym, got home, made myself a lovely breakfast, little smoothie. This is cringe, but I'm going to keep going. Ticked off some client work. Client A, done. Client 2, client B, I'll call them. Ticked a box with that one. Then did some of my own personal content. Cool, good. What else did I do? I'm not too sure, but it felt productive. I don't know, it just feels good to just get shit done in the morning. And stay warm. It's cold out in these streets now. The first one I wanted to touch on was, I literally just wrote down, is it really that hard to figure out how to feel good in life? Like, just go towards what feels good in business, in life in general. Like, how good's a bloody haircut? Haircuts are awesome. Go towards haircuts, go towards exercise, go towards fresh air, coffee dates, that type of stuff. Like, life isn't that hard to be. I sound like a, rambling life preacher on the internet right now, but it's not that hard. Just go towards what feels good. Breaks from work, they feel good, so just go towards it. Simple lessons. Oh, this is a good one. This is one me and my brother just had in our business, but always go back and ask whether processes can be improved, because we had an example the other week that we're just like, hey, even though our business website has been sitting there for years now, it doesn't just sit there and never improve, that type of thing. Like, that is still a landing page for people to have the first impressions of your business. Please be quiet. So it's important. If you think you can upgrade your website, do it. My brother had a good idea. We executed it in the next week. It felt good. Just because things sit there in the background for a while doesn't mean you can't revisit it and just be like, hey, how can we make that look better? Great call. Great job, Michael. I always like to think about career choices. So I came from the 9-to-5 world, the corporate world, quote unquote. Now, running my own ship over here, I always think about the differences. And we always have to choose what our average is, or choose what our bad is. So any career is going to have the average, all right? So we just have to choose what that average is. Is our average having to show up in the office from 9 to 5 in the corporate world? Is our average having slower weeks than some? Is our average dealing with bad people? Dealing with some average clients just to put our name out there? That type of thing. Choose your average. I think it's kind of an interesting conversation, because no job, I love my job, but no job is going to come without, it's not all roses and sunshine, as they say. No job is going to come out without that stuff. So choose your average and move on, because you're not going to have a perfect bloody career or job or life in general. Oh, this is a great one for calendar lovers and just people who run their career through their calendar, which I seem to do a fair bit of. But whatever the calendar says, it's almost like a law. Whatever the calendar says, just stick to it. It's so easy to sway into other decisions, other tasks or whatever, because you see it. You might see it like an hour later. But whatever the calendar says, do it. Because otherwise you just get distracted. We all get distracted so easily. Own whatever the task is, whether it's bad or good. You might want to jump to the hard task to get it out of the way. You might want to jump to the personal branding task because that's fun. I don't know. Creating content for yourself, creating content that you did on the weekend. You might want to jump to that, but whatever the calendar says, you have to do it. That's just the law. Ooh, this one I really liked. Now I'll read it straight off the bat because I think I worded it all right. But how you talk about something defines how big it is. I'll read that again. How you talk about something defines how big it is. And I think this is a lesson you get from just talking to people in general. You get from maybe pitching a brand, an idea to people. If you take it seriously, people are going to take that thing seriously. And if you take it lightly, if you just say, and this is one that always gets to me. If you say, hey, I have this little brand on the side. Even the word little is enough for me to be like, okay, you don't think that seriously about it. You don't have that bigger ambitions for it. I think it's important because it's just like, if you think about it that way, people are going to be like, okay, well, that's what it is. You're the one presenting it. You're the founder. You're the person behind it. So if you think it's only worth the title little, it is. Yeah, whenever you pitched an idea, whenever you report back to your manager or someone else on your workload, if you sound serious and show the depth to your task, others will respect it more. And that's a great lesson. Even if say you have a task that's taking you ages and it's like a lot of work involved, if you don't make that clear to anybody else, they're not going to think it takes that long. They're not going to think you're that skilled. You have to almost talk yourself up to make people realize how big of a task something is or how good you are at it. This one actually might be my favorite. Little burst of energy here. I was reading a book the other day. I think it's called The Psychology of Money by author, not sure, but I'll probably put the book up on screen just to give them the love. But I was reading that, and there was a really cool chapter. It was basically saying that the business is basically, I've said basically 17 times. It's not that basic. It's the idea that most of business is just trying things until you get something right, like one thing right, two things right. And it was basically the idea that all of these people, like they were mentioning Disney, they were mentioning Warren Buffett, but go back to the Disney example. They were saying like, we think Disney is just nothing but success. And right now, like they're one of the biggest, they're not a media company, but producers, whatever you want to call them. They're one of the biggest companies in media and in film and TV and all that stuff. They just are. But they were saying like, do you really think they didn't have flops? Do you really think they didn't? And they provided stats about this. It's not just saying like, do you really think they had examples of this in saying like, they probably made so many movies, so many scripts, so many things that just bombed. But if you have one Snow White in that bombing, in amongst those things that actually just flopped and went nowhere, people will think you're a success. And that made me look at it completely different. I was just like, you can literally fail like hundreds and hundreds of times, right? You can just fail as much as you want to, but as long as you have a few, just one or two even, that go well, that are successful, you are then successful in other people's minds. And it's almost like as long as those one or two give you enough revenue to make up for the other trials and tribulations, it's all worth it. And that's the view of the public around you. I think that's a really cool way of looking at it. They also said the artist Picasso, and I'm not an artist lover. I'm not an artist like lover or anything, but Picasso. They were saying if it is a he, right? If he had 1 out of 100 successful pieces of art, you are success because you go crazy. Like people love that. Like, wow, you make millions from it. You are success. But can the other 99 pieces of art just bomb? Can they just be poor? Can they go nowhere? Probably. From this method, they almost can. You literally have to do the saying of just like throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And as long as one or two of those things stick, you're a success. Isn't that refreshing? That's a refreshing mindset to me. The Psychology of Money. Go read that. You learn some good things, just like that one. Oh, actually, they're called tail events. Tail events. I think it's a term used in business, finance, stocks, investing, but that's the term for this thing, that events can happen. You can choose the one, like you can have success in the 1 out of 100, and that's a tail event that earns you revenue, that earns you respect, that earns you love. I think that's kind of cool. Last one or two before I stop learning for the week, even though this was not just a week, but like I said at the start, never let the truth get in the way of a good story, and that is what my old manager actually said. Anyway, I randomly wrote down on my phone the other day, I was just like, isn't it crazy that in the world of digital, in the digital world, you can wake up and choose to be whatever you want? Now, that sounds weird, but you can. If I woke up tomorrow and was like, hey, I'm going to focus more on my fitness and become a quote-unquote fitness influencer, which, look, what is that? I don't know. If you talk about content online, if you talk about fitness online, people are going to view you as that. And I found that really interesting. You can literally just wake up and choose to be something in the eyes of others, anything you want. If you get me, if you're following. You choose to post about food every single day. Many people are going to have the perception that you are a chef, you are a food expert, and that is now part of your public perception. I just found that really interesting. That is really, it's completely up to you what direction you take your personal brand or what direction you take people's perception of you. All right? That was good. A lot of my videos, I don't want to be just sit down talking like this, but sometimes it is kind of refreshing just to talk about your thoughts, talk about what I wrote in this note. In this note over the past few weeks, mainly the last week or two. It's very interesting. So you can learn a lot in a week. That's my lesson. 7 days of just thoughts. Ideas. That's the beauty of it though. See ya.